What's up everyone? Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to another concept crafting video. This time it is Alucard Dracula from Castlevania Symphony of the Night. I tried to make something as close as I could to him. Um, let's get into the points. I forgot to record his stats. Another character that I forgot to record their stats, but whatever. I already wrote it down so I know what it's like. Vigor's at 50, mine is at 30, endurance is at 20, strength is at 14, dexterity at 51, intelligence at 18, faith at 30, and arcane is at 17. And this is exactly what we need to equip and use everything that we have. I'm not going to respec because you have a limited amount of larval tiers, and I just want to make sure I leave those respecs for when you guys get to vote on which build guide you want next. I'm gonna do this one for sure. I just don't know if I'm gonna do it next. I'm probably gonna do whatever you guys choose next, and then this will come immediately after that. That's other than what I got in the works right now. I'm still doing the playthrough. It might take a little while for the Star Seeker. Anyways, once you respec like this, I'm gonna cancel for now. I already explained to you guys why. Alright. I'm not alarmed, just get away from me. Alright, this is what you're gonna be using. Keen Godskin Stitcher. And you're gonna be using this one as well, just for the Ash of War. And I'm using the Ash of War because it reminds me, all these moves remind me in one form or another of moves that were part of Alucard's moveset pretty much. So I'm gonna read some spells for you guys. For example, we got, let's say, Sword Brothers, and the Glintblade Phalanx reminds me of that a bit. A sword that hovers around you and protects you. Stuff like that. Alright, so Sword Brothers remind me of this one. There's a sword, little spirit that also goes around you and helps you. So this one kind of fits, the theme for them both. And this one right here, Blood Tax, reminds me of Soul Steal. Now, Soul Steal was a spell, it wasn't a melee attack, but I don't think there's a spell here that leeches life back, so unless you're gonna go for Taker's Flame in a way, but yeah, this is as close as I can get, because this is the kind of sword Alucard would use, not Taker's Flame, not the Blasphemous Blade. Why do I have two of these? Well, let's get into the spells first, and let me explain a few more things before we do anything else. Alright? So, the spells are as follows because they remind me of spells from the real game. Forget the buffs, spells are there because they're necessary. I'm going to be doing NG plus 6 or 7 with this guy, level 150, so it's a must. Alright, so there is Dark Metamorphosis, and this is, to me, it's like Blood Flame. You start glowing red, but we'll make a weapon glow red instead, and that's good enough for me. There is, of course, Summon Spirit. This reminds me of it. Wing Smash doesn't really remind me of Wing Smash, but it's like a shape of a wing in a way, kind of, not really, but I'll imagine that it is. This is not an actual attack that Alucard does, but Dracula does, and technically speaking, Alucard carries Dracula's genetics, therefore he can learn some of Dracula's move if he wants to, and this is the only one we're going to go for. This one is Hellfire, which is an attack where he shoots out 3 different fireballs back in the day, so now he leveled up and he shoots a lot of them. This is Tetra Spirit. He summons spirits in the game when they go and attack your enemy. They kind of hone in your enemy, just exactly like how these behave. And we're going for the smaller one because we do not have a lot of intelligence. This is here just for stagger potential, to just break the enemy's stance. And then once you cast that, you cast this one after it. And this reminds me of Dark Inferno. He shoots out 3 gravity slash balls with fire around them, and they look like they came from outer space and stuff. So this really reminds me of that attack. There's like wolf charge as well. I don't really have anything for wolf charge other than like maybe summon wolves. I'm not going to be using summons because you do get summons in Castlevania Symphony of the Night, but just to make the game a bit more interesting, I'm not going to use summons. And there are summons that kind of resemble some of the summons that were in Castlevania that are also in Elden Ring. So if you guys want to summons, I can tell you which ones later, but I'm probably in the build guide because I don't want to take too long now. I already feel like I did. So now that we know what the spells are like, you want to go here and you want to check this one. What I would go for, honestly, personally speaking, I mean, you might want to go for this, maybe, possibly, if you are trying to stance break them. Dexterity, not for sure. If you want to go for something a bit more defensive, you can go for the Crimson Bubble tier right here. It's pretty good. Or you can just go for the Opaline Heart tier and just will give you defenses. And it's pretty good. I like it. I've used it a lot and helped me out. Personally speaking, helped me out against a lot of bosses. Otherwise, there's nothing else that I personally would use. Maybe some stamina stuff if you really need it, but like I wouldn't go for any of these things unless maybe this one here. Again, another defensive one. This you don't really need, but also can be used. But personally speaking, like I said, dexterity, not crystal tier, and the stone barb crack tier usually do the job. Like you pop this and you just become really offensive for like 30 seconds or so, and you'll most likely get them to break their posture or just go for this. I mean, I guess it's a safer bet. It lasts longer than 30 seconds, so it's like 3 minutes. And let's see what else is there, really quick. Alright, so we already spoke about those two. They kind of fit the theme. I went for the wolf head. I mean, he does like turn into a wolf in the game, and like I haven't changed this character's looks to make him fit Alucard, so a wolf with white hair is the closest thing for the time being. This has a cape, and he wears like black and gold, with maybe a little bit of red and white. That's like the colors that he wears usually for his armor. Here, all this is going to change. This one, you can take this one here instead if you're going to be using blood tax a lot. I think it should work. I haven't tested it yet, but I will test it for the build guide for sure. Personally speaking, guys, I went for this one right here. And I went for some really offensive ones here. Let's see. I went for the Rotten Winged Sword Insignia. And for this one, you can keep it and you can switch this one out. Let's see, what do we have here? We have this one, we have this one. I mean, it's looking good the way it is right now, but you can switch out this with something else if you would like. Let's see, I mean, you can go for, like, from what I have right now, I don't think I have what I'm looking for, but I would probably go for this one, and I would always try to like be a bit defensive and try to stay at full health if possible. This is a good one here. What else can you use? I mean, I don't know if we're going to be using a lot of jump attacks. You might be using some charged attacks, so Axe Talisman is pretty good. Or you can go for some extra defensive stuff, some basic utility stuff like Green Turtle Talisman is always useful. If you really want to get that HP going a bit more, I mean, this is useful, you know, because sometimes you drink potions and, you know, you're almost at full health and you don't have time to rebuff and you want to save your maybe mana for like offensive spells and all that. This will, you know, if you're patient and you're careful, this will help you, you know, top your health off. You have a few other options that I will discuss next time. You can go for even this one right here, the prosthesis. There is another prophecy. What was it called? The prosthesis for this one here, though. Where was it? It was like Millicent's prosthesis or whatever it was called. And that will also help with the damage as well. Oh yeah, I remember what I wanted. It wasn't this one. There we go. This is another good one as well, because you will be doing a lot of blood loss as well. So this is a great one to have. Unless you're fighting an enemy that doesn't bleed, then you can switch this out with the sword insignia or the other one, Millicent's Prot. See, what was it called? Jeez, guys. Where was it? Yeah, the prosthesis. There we go. So this one initially, and then you can go for Millicent's prosthesis afterwards once you have progressed far enough into the game. Anyways, guys, I spoke a lot. This is 10 minutes just explaining everything to you, but like I really care about this character that much, Alucard and all that, and I'm going to do this regardless, so that's why I did talk a bit more than I usually would. Anyways, let's get into some battles, so BRB. And I'm back, guys, so let's do this. Alright, you know what the buffing process looks like, or your buffing rotation rather. Alright, now that you saw that, this is what you go for, exactly how I did it, and the rest is pretty easy, guys. Keep in mind my stats look different here. Alright, the stats that I just showed you is the final stats that I'm probably going to use for the build guide, but right here I wanted to have access to a bit more spells, even though I don't really use them, but I thought I was going to, so keep that in mind. My dex here is probably below 40, it's like 33 to 35, somewhere between there. My intelligence is much higher, because I was thinking of using a dual's Moonblade, because I wanted to use anything with swords, since they had like a little summon spirit that was a sword, and they had like a move called Sword Brothers, so I thought, you know, the more sword stuff I have, the better, but then I realized there are already a lot of sword spells, so I changed my mind. My intelligence here is probably like at 20 max. And all those points from like, I had I think like 34 intelligence before, I took all those points and put them back into dexterity. So my dexterity is like at 50 here. That's like the main difference, because I took a lot of points out of intelligence and just put them into dexterity instead, because I realized I'm using melee attacks. So if I'm doing mainly melee attacks, then there's no point. For spells, I explained to you which spells I would use for the build guide, and explained to you the reasons, because they remind me of spells that Alucard actually used to use, and they help with the stagger potential. I mean, like, you know, Rancor, spirits, and Rock Sling. If you can, you know, use those spirits and then Rock Sling right after it, and then maybe get in your blood tax, you probably have a pretty high chance of staggering an enemy, unless it's like a really big boss or something. Then you might have to do a bit more damage than that to kill him. This spell I'm very confused about. Flame fall upon them. I wish I could get all of them to land, but I think to do that I have to like un-auto lock or un-auto aim or whatever you want to call it, auto target, and then maybe I'd be able to hit him with all of the fireballs, but I'm not sure. Because I heard somewhere online that these fireballs have a lot of potential to stagger the enemy if they all connect, like 15 or 16 of them, so it's kind of hard to make them all connect depending on how big the target is, I guess, right? So that is something else you have to keep in mind. The bigger the target, the better. And here I'm using Wrath of Gold because it reminded me of the skill that Alucard had, where like a beam of light would shoot down, and like around that beam of light, like a bunch of crosses would like spin around, dealing damage to whatever they hit. So that was the closest thing I could get to that, but it's not worth it, the damage it does, and like how much mana it consumes and all that. Like some of these spells here need help, so hopefully they'll eventually get to it, but we'll see when the time comes. For now, as you can see, I am mainly depending on blood tax, so I'm saying this is more of a dex build than anything else, but you can use incantations, sorceries, not a lot, but you can use a few that are pretty useful. Other than that, honestly, there's not much I can say or else I can tell you guys, other than we're gonna get into another different fight very soon after this one right here, and then we're gonna fight like a mini boss There are not a lot of options left in the open world, and I don't know the open world bosses very well, so unfortunately, um, this is the best I can do for now. But of course, if you guys vote for Alucard, and then I'll make a build guide and you'll get to see me beat all of the bosses. So, yeah, I mean, I don't know what you guys think of it. It's really a blood tax build more than anything else. But that utilizes, you know, some incantations and sorceries. Other than that, it's you're gonna be mainly depending on your sword, really. I mean, that is how Alucard was in the game as well. So I'm trying to stick to the, you know, to the real Alucard as much as I possibly can. And you know, being a vampire, regenerating health seems like it's common sense, right? So that's why I did all these things that I did here. I don't know how this build is gonna be when we get to like actual bosses and stuff like that, but I cannot wait to find out, because I really think that this build is gonna be a lot of fun. So I don't know, I'm gonna have to wait and see. It turns out here it's just like a critical hit with Bloodlust proc. It was all over for him. Here I'm just cheesing some boss, guys. Nothing special, just, you know, seeing what kind of damage I can do to him with my, you know, sorceries and, or rather my intelligence and faith being very low at like 30 and 20. Faith is at 30 and intelligence at 20. Here intelligence is a bit higher, but the faith is pretty much the same, maybe like 2-3 points higher. But I put all those points, like I told you earlier, into dexterity, since that's what I'll be using mainly. So as you can see, even with really low faith, I'm dealing pretty decent damage to him. So that's not bad. And of course, Ancient Dragon Lightning Strike is like one of the best spells in the game. And I'm surprised it only costs 26 faith to use. It's really powerful. I mean, look at that, it carries me here. I mean, I could have, you know, used more bloodlust like spells, but just the spell is so good I couldn't help myself. And this is the last one, guys. So I hope you enjoy it. We're gonna go kill the Bell-bearing Hunter, and I'm gonna end it afterwards here. There weren't many bosses left because I've been doing other build guides, but I promise you that I will take this guy into a build guide if you guys want. Anyways, and as always, thank you all so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this episode, and I'll catch you all in the next one. Take care, have a great day, and see you then. Peace.